I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact focused on personal growth, my Knowledge Workbook series and Creative Healing course can help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about I want them back even though they betrayed me.
This is a really tough and confusing situation for a lot of people.
Absolutely. When you find out that your ex is interested in someone else, it makes a breakup feel much worse. Because on top of feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm losing this person, now you feel like I'm losing them to somebody else. Is this person better than me? Are they more attractive than me? What is it that they would rather be with this person than have the connection that we had together?
And betrayal can come in a lot of different forms. Infidelity, cheating, giving somebody else that type of romantic attention is one form, but there's a lot of different forms that betrayal can happen in a relationship too. One that's been popping up that's been surprising to me is partners keeping financial decisions from each other. So maybe purchasing a house behind their spouse's back, or, making a big purchase that could affect the relationship.
Sure.
So that's another one, but it could be a lot of different things. It could also be how your partner speaks about you to others or to their family, or things that their family knows that you don't know. So there can be a lot of things that are hidden and secret, and a lot of this kind of deception that happens and betrayal that happens in relationships.
That's a good point, because I think when people think betrayal, they automatically assume cheating, an affair, something of like that nature. And of course, that is a pretty devastating one when it does happen. But you're right. There are a lot of different ways that somebody can betray another partner. Talking bad about their partner to somebody's friends and family, or about them, and then you overhear it. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I remember one time I saw, maybe it was on Instagram or something, that a woman overheard her husband saying to her friends that she's ugly.
Oh,
that is just awful.
yeah.
I mean, could you imagine how horrible it would feel to think that your partner thinks that you're ugly?
Yeah, especially if your partner is telling you that you're beautiful or attractive, that would be something that would hurt.
Yeah. I mean, after that, you just wouldn't feel comfortable with them anymore. You'd be like always in the back of your mind thinking, like, why are you with me if you think I'm ugly? Like, that's awful.
Yeah, betrayal can come in a lot of different forms. And what happens to the person that's been betrayed is the impact of that. A lot of times people can become hypervigilant, meaning that now they are aware of everything, right? That can mean now they're like checking their partner's phone all the time. Yep. Maybe they become suspicious that their partner is still betraying them in some way. Just that trust is broken, and it can really like overpower your mind.
Yeah, it can become consuming, where you're no longer even able to be present in the relationship or just yourself anymore, because you're constantly thinking in the back of your mind, are they leaving? Are we really even going to stay in this relationship? It's like a looming cloud, like it's a storm that's going to come, and you just like, okay, I know the storm is here, but we're not doing anything about it. Like, I don't understand what we're going to do.
Yeah. And it could be something that really affects your self-confidence, your self-esteem. You can start to have comparing thoughts with either, another person or other relationships, other situations. You can also have intrusive thoughts of the betrayal, whatever it was. Sometimes those symptoms can look like PTSD symptoms. Betrayal can be traumatic, and somebody can have post-traumatic symptoms from it.
Absolutely. Betrayal is traumatic, and it's going to consume one of the people in that connection. And then it could wind up exhausting the relationship, because both people are so tired of, quote unquote, dealing with that, whatever that problem is. And sometimes the betrayal maybe not even was purposeful. In some way they said or did something accidental, and it slipped up, and now it's like, yet you're constantly stuck in this state of the betrayal and you can't seem to move forward. And you're just, okay, we're constantly talking about this particular thing.
Yeah, and it feels like being stuck, especially if you still want to be with that person, especially if you're still pursuing the relationship, because there's that part of you that's afraid. There's that part of you that knows how the betrayal impacted you and just the anxiety that you go through in the relationship.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the anxiety of leaving it is more than the anxiety of staying sometimes. There's
True.
somebody who talks about infidelity in particular, but his name is Dr. Jake Porter, and I think he does a good job of explaining betrayal trauma and the impact of that on the people who have been betrayed. And he talks about attachment styles as well, and he says that what he's found is that in people who have been even secure before the betrayal trauma, he's found traits of disorganized attachment after that, which makes a lot of sense to me.
Absolutely.
There's that part of you that loves your partner and wants to be there and wants to be supportive. And then there's that other part that feels hurt and angry. And there's a part of you that has rage, fear, all of those emotions. So it makes a lot of sense. The reason why we're talking about all of these symptoms and how the betrayal can affect you is because this is a big part of your decision on pursuing a partner who has betrayed you, whether that be an ex or whether that's something that you're actively going through in a relationship right now.
Yeah, many of you are in situations where your ex was talking to somebody outside the relationship before they ended things, and maybe they didn't cheat, but they were having an emotional connection, and now you're like so hurt and angry about it that you're like, conflicted. You're like, I love them and I want them back, but I'm so angry and upset about what they did to me. And now it's like you don't know how to juggle it, right? But you can't just ignore what they've done. You can't ignore the betrayal. And if you were the one that betrayed your partner, you can't ignore it and act like it didn't happen or minimize it or, try and make it seem like it wasn't as significant as they're making it seem to be.
Yeah.
Because if you do, then they're just going to feel more and more disconnected, or you will if they don't want to deal with the issue.
Exactly. And if you have more of an anxious attachment style, you might find yourself turning a blind eye to mistreatment, to betrayal, because you're more afraid of that abandonment. So be aware that that could be something that comes up. Are you really taking into account how that hurt and pain has affected you?
Yeah.
What it's like for you in that relationship? Some couples, they're able to move through infidelity. This is a hot topic. I know the comment section is going to be very interesting.
Never take it back. Never.
So some couples are able to manage and work through it. It does take a tremendous amount of effort. It takes a lot of transparency, accountability, follow through, sitting with each other's emotions. And for a lot of people, that type of effort in repairing that is not worth it. That level of, wanting to pour in and fix it and rebuild not only your self-confidence, your self-respect. For a lot of people, it's not worth it. Some couples are able to move through that.
Yeah.
So this is something that is extremely personal.
Exactly. I was just going to say it's a very personal decision, and you have to figure that out for yourself. You don't want to ignore the problems. You don't want to pretend they didn't happen, but people do make mistakes, and there are a lot of different ways you could betray somebody. And you also have to consider how you showed up in the relationship. I'm sure there were things that you did that may have hurt that person. Maybe you said a comment. Maybe you said or did something even early in the relationship. Talked about your friends or family about something about them, and then they later find out and they're like, I can't believe you would say that. I told you that in confidence. So, don't be so quick to point out them, and, take a look at yourself, how you may have betrayed them as well. And sometimes people get in the tit for tat.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You start keeping count, keeping score.
Yeah, revenge.
And that could be something that's very damaging too. So be mindful of that. You want to be aware of patterns, right? So you want to be able to protect your heart, really see what's going on here. If you are considering continuing that relationship and pursuing it, you really have to think about what you will need in order to feel safe, right? And the truth about relationships is that there's a lot of risk. There's a lot of unpredictability. We cannot 100% with certainty say that this person is never going to hurt you. That's part of it. And that's what's tough, right? But what can you need to feel safer, to feel like this is a better decision, or to have some sense of security in this? And that might mean to have your ex or your partner show the understanding of how they've hurt you, That could be to show understanding of their motivations and fears and insecurities that might have led to their decisions in betraying you.
Yep.
It could be to act in ways that give you that safety, to be proactive about being transparent about things that are happening. So it can be a lot of different things that can create or rebuild that sense of safety. I think in the bare minimum, empathy for how that betrayal has affected you is a must.
Absolutely. Yeah, you want to, in my opinion, you want to see somebody that cares about your feelings, that they're really apologetic, they're transparent about the whole situation, they're not continuing to lie or hide things, because if they do, then you're really not going to trust them anyway. You're going to see through it. And at some point you would have to say, look, I feel like you're not being honest here and there's more to this, and I can't try and repair this if you're not going to be honest with me here. We've already got a betrayal, so don't jump into situations where there's a betrayal. Take things slow. Consider the possibility that that particular betrayal could happen again. Or maybe you get back together and you find out there's more to the story. And how are you going to feel then if you just find out, or, maybe there was lying or cheating or something, and then you find out there was much more to it. And they didn't come clean when they had the opportunity. So there's a lot to consider, but we're saying think it through the best that you can. Protect your heart. Don't be eager. You don't want somebody to think that they could betray you and that they can just come running back into your life. Many people do patterns of behavior, and do your best to build yourself up, get to a good place, find support where you can to navigate and take things slow from there.
Right. And I would also say be mindful of your beliefs about the relationship. I know sometimes in breakups, our mind will tell us, oh, I'm never going to find anybody better. I want to repair this because I won't find love outside of this. When betrayal happens, sometimes we make similar excuses. Well, everybody makes mistakes, right? We start to tell ourselves things that can really detach us from the situation rather than looking at it for what it is. So be mindful of that. How much of this is really the fear of abandonment and sticking with somebody who's been mistreating you that you can see with a pattern over time versus how much of this is being able to have flexibility. How much can you tolerate? It's something that's super personal, right? So tell us what you think. We're interested in what this comment section is going to look like.
I know what it's going to look like.
Never take it back a cheater.
We know that there's a lot of different forms of betrayal, and even hearing some of your personal stories and some of your personal experiences might be interesting too.
I want each of you that are quick to say, now, never take back a cheater, to think about, wait a minute, have I ever cheated? Just for one moment, would you do that?
And even the definition of cheating can be so broad.
True.
Cheating to one person could be, nothing to somebody else.
Yeah.
So there's a
Different
lot of room
levels.
for discussion with that. Yeah.
All right. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.